What if one of Hollywood's most beloved stars couldn't control her own desires? How does an icon of the silver screen end up entangled in scandal after scandal? Vivien Leigh, synonymous with Hollywood glamour and enduring talent, struggled with an insatiable libido that led to a life of personal turmoil and scandalous affairs. Early life and introduction to Vivien Leigh. She was born Vivien Mary Hartley on November 5, 1913, in Darjeeling, India. Her father, Ernest Hartley, was a British officer in the Indian Cavalry, and her mother, Gertrude Mary Frances, was of Irish descent. Vivien's early years were spent in India, where she developed a love for the vibrant culture and landscapes that would later influence her artistic sensibilities. The family moved to England when Vivien was 6 years old. This transition marked a significant change in her life, as she left behind the colorful world of India for the more structured environment of England. She attended the Convent of the Sacred Heart in Roehampton, where she received a traditional British education. It was during these formative years that Vivien first discovered her passion for acting, participating in school plays and developing a keen interest in literature and drama. In 1931, at the age of 18, she enrolled at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, RADA, in London. This decision marked the beginning of her formal training as an actress and set her on the path to stardom. It was during her time at RADA that she adopted the stage name Vivien Leigh, combining her first name with her husband's middle name. Her marriage to Herbert Lee Holman in December 1932 came as a surprise to many. At just 19 years old, she wed the 32-year-old barrister who was from a conservative background and initially disapproved of her acting ambitions. Despite this, the early years of their marriage seemed stable, and they welcomed their daughter Suzanne in October 1933. Vivien's early acting career was marked by determination and a series of small roles that gradually built her reputation. Her stage debut came in 1935 with a small role in the play The Mask of Virtue. Despite the modest nature of the part, her performance caught the attention of critics and audiences alike. Her striking beauty and natural talent on stage were immediately apparent, and she quickly gained a reputation as a promising young actress. During this period, Vivien appeared in several British films, including Things Are Looking Up, 1935, and Fire Over England, 1937. These early screen appearances, while not leading roles, allowed her to gain valuable experience in front of the camera and helped her develop her craft. Rise to stardom. Her breakthrough role came in 1938 when she was cast as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. The story of her casting has become a Hollywood legend. Producer David O. Selznick had been searching for the perfect Scarlett for years, considering established stars like Bette Davis and newcomers alike. Vivien, who was in California visiting her lover, Laurence Olivier, heard about the role and was determined to win it. Her audition for Selznick was memorable. Dressed in character as Scarlett, Vivien impressed the producer with her beauty, charm, and ability to embody the complex character. Despite concerns about casting a relatively unknown British actress as an iconic Southern belle, Selznick took the risk, and it paid off spectacularly. The filming of Gone with the Wind was an arduous process that lasted nearly 2 years. Vivien threw herself into the role with incredible dedication, working long hours and enduring the physical demands of the elaborate production. Her portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara was a tour de force, capturing the character's strength, vulnerability, and complexity. The film's premiere in December 1939 was a sensation, and her performance was universally praised. Gone with the Wind catapulted Vivien to international stardom and won her the first of 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress. Her portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara remains one of the most iconic performances in cinema history, setting a new standard for leading ladies in Hollywood. During this time, Vivien's personal life was also undergoing significant changes. Her relationship with Laurence Olivier, which had begun during the filming of Fire Over England in 1937, had developed into a passionate affair. Both were married to other people at the time, adding a layer of scandal to their burgeoning romance. Vivien and Olivier's relationship was intense and all-consuming. They appeared together in several productions, including the film 21 Days Together, 1940, and a stage production of Romeo and Juliet on Broadway. Their on-screen chemistry was palpable, and their off-screen relationship became the talk of Hollywood and London society. Marriage to Laurence Olivier. In 1940, after both obtained divorces from their respective spouses, Vivien and Olivier married in a small ceremony in Santa Barbara, California. Their union was seen as the joining of two of the most talented and celebrated actors of their generation. The press dubbed them the Oliviers, and they quickly became one of the most famous couples in the entertainment world. The early years of their marriage were marked by both professional triumphs and personal challenges. They collaborated on several projects, including the film That Hamilton Woman, 1941, in which they played the ill-fated lovers, Lord Nelson and Lady Hamilton. The film was a critical and commercial success, further cementing their status as a power couple in Hollywood. However, the pressures of fame and their demanding careers began to take a toll on their relationship. Olivier was deeply ambitious and often prioritized his work over his personal life. He was particularly devoted to his work in the theater, taking on challenging roles and directing productions at the Old Vic in London. Vivien, while equally talented, began to struggle with the demands of her career and the expectations placed upon her as Olivier's wife. She was often cast in roles that were seen as less challenging than those of her husband, leading to frustration and a sense of professional rivalry. Despite these challenges, the Oliviers continued to work together throughout the 1940s. They embarked on a tour of North Africa in 1944, performing for Allied troops during World War II. This experience was both rewarding and grueling as they performed Shakespeare in difficult conditions for appreciative but often rowdy audiences. In 1945, the Oliviers returned to England, where they continued their work in theater and film. They appeared together in a production of The Skin of Our Teeth at the Phoenix Theatre in London, which was well received by critics and audiences alike. Struggles with mental health. As Vivien's career progressed, signs of her mental health struggles began to surface. In the early 1940s, she started exhibiting symptoms of what would later be diagnosed as bipolar disorder. This condition, characterized by extreme mood swings including periods of intense depression and manic episodes, was poorly understood at the time. The demands of her career and the pressure of maintaining her public image exacerbated her condition. Vivien often experienced severe mood swings on set, alternating between periods of intense creativity and energy and bouts of debilitating depression. These episodes made it increasingly difficult for her to maintain a consistent work schedule and put a strain on her relationships with co-stars and crew members. Her portrayal of Blanche DuBois in the stage production and subsequent film adaptation of A Streetcar Named Desire, 1951, brought her critical acclaim, but also took a significant toll on her mental health. The role required her to delve deeply into the psyche of a woman experiencing a mental breakdown, which mirrored her own internal struggles. Vivien later remarked, "I had 9 months in the theater of Blanche DuBois. Now she's in command of me." The film version of A Streetcar Named Desire, directed by Elia Kazan, showcased Vivien's incredible range as an actress. Her performance was raw and vulnerable, earning her a second Academy Award for Best Actress. However, the emotional intensity of the role left her exhausted and emotionally drained. As her condition worsened, Vivien underwent various treatments, including electroconvulsive therapy, ECT. This controversial treatment, common for severe mental illness during that era, provided temporary relief but came with significant side effects and did not address the underlying causes of her disorder. Despite these challenges, Vivien continued to work, showing remarkable resilience and dedication to her craft. She took on challenging roles in both film and theater, including appearances in The Deep Blue Sea, 1955, and The Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone, 1961. However, her illness made it increasingly difficult for her to maintain the grueling schedules required of a leading actress. The strain of fame and career demands. As Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier's careers soared, the demands of fame began to take a significant toll on their personal lives. The 1940s and 1950s were a period of intense professional activity for both actors, with each pursuing ambitious projects that required immense dedication and energy. Vivien's schedule was particularly grueling. Following her success in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, she was in high demand for both film and stage productions. She appeared in a string of films, including Anna Karenina, 1948, The Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone, 1961, and Ship of Fools, 1965. Each of these roles required intense preparation and emotional investment, further taxing her already fragile mental state. On stage, Vivien continued to challenge herself with complex roles. She appeared in productions of Shakespeare's plays, including a notable performance as Lady Macbeth opposite Olivier's Macbeth at Stratford-upon-Avon in 1955. The pressure to live up to her reputation as one of the greatest actresses of her generation was immense, and she often pushed herself to the brink of exhaustion. Olivier, meanwhile, was achieving remarkable success in both film and theater. His 1948 film adaptation of Hamlet earned him 2 Academy Awards, including Best Actor and Best Picture. He continued to direct and star in acclaimed productions at the Old Vic and later at the National Theatre, which he helped establish. The demands of their respective careers often kept Vivien and Olivier apart for long periods. Olivier's commitment to the theater required extensive travel, while Vivien's film projects took her to various locations around the world. These separations were challenging, contributing to feelings of isolation and loneliness for Vivien, whose mental health issues were exacerbated by the time apart from her husband. The pressure of maintaining their public image as the perfect couple added another layer of strain to their relationship. As one of Hollywood's most famous pairs, they were constantly in the spotlight, with their personal lives scrutinized by the media. This intense public attention created an additional burden, forcing them to present a facade of a perfect marriage even as they struggled behind closed doors. Increasing libido and its impact on relationships. As Vivien's mental health deteriorated, her behavior became increasingly erratic, and one aspect that began to cause significant strain in her marriage was her heightened libido. This increase in sexual desire, often associated with the manic phases of bipolar disorder, led to a series of affairs and liaisons that further complicated her already tumultuous personal life. During her marriage to Laurence Olivier, Vivien's insatiable sexual appetite became increasingly evident. Initially, Olivier found her passion exciting and was drawn to her intense energy. However, as her condition worsened, her sexual needs grew more unpredictable and difficult to manage within the confines of their marriage. Vivien's heightened libido led her to seek out sexual encounters outside of her marriage. These affairs were not merely about physical gratification, but often stemmed from a deep-seated need for emotional connection and validation. During her manic episodes, she would become particularly reckless, engaging in risky behavior that put both her reputation and her health at risk. Despite his deep love for her, Olivier found it increasingly difficult to cope with her infidelity. The emotional toll of her unpredictable behavior and sexual escapades created a rift in their marriage that would eventually prove insurmountable. While she managed to keep many of her liaisons out of the public eye, rumors and gossip about her behavior circulated in Hollywood and London theater circles. This affected her professional relationships and, in some cases, led to lost opportunities as producers and directors became wary of her unpredictable nature. Affairs and public scandals. In the early 1950s, as Vivien's mental health worsened and her marriage to Olivier became increasingly strained, she began engaging in more public and scandalous affairs. One of the most notable was with actor Peter Finch, whom she met while filming Elephant Walk in Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, in 1953. The affair with Finch was passionate and tumultuous. Finch, who was married at the time, was captivated by Vivien's beauty and charisma. Their relationship quickly became the talk of Hollywood, creating a media frenzy that put additional strain on her already fragile mental state. The affair was particularly painful for Olivier, who had considered Finch a friend and protege. During the filming of Elephant Walk, Vivien suffered a nervous breakdown, likely triggered by the stress of the affair and her deteriorating mental health. She was replaced in the film by Elizabeth Taylor and returned to England for treatment. This incident marked a turning point in her career, as it became increasingly difficult for her to secure leading roles due to concerns about her reliability. The media was relentless in its coverage of Vivien's personal life. Newspapers and magazines eagerly reported on her affairs and erratic behavior, often with sensational headlines. The public's fascination with her scandals began to overshadow her professional achievements, much to Vivien's dismay. Another significant relationship in her life was with actor Jack Merivale, Unlike some of her other affairs, her relationship with Merivale provided a measure of stability in her later years. Merivale was aware of her mental health issues and was committed to supporting her through her struggles. The public nature of Vivien's affairs and the resulting scandals took a toll on her career. While she continued to work in film and theater, the roles she was offered became less prestigious. Producers and directors, wary of her unpredictable behavior and the potential for negative publicity, were hesitant to cast her in major productions. Despite the challenges posed by her personal life, Vivien remained dedicated to her craft. She continued to deliver powerful performances, even as her off-screen behavior became increasingly erratic. Her ability to channel her inner turmoil into her performances often resulted in raw and emotionally charged portrayals that captivated audiences and critics alike. The decline of her marriage with Olivier. By the late 1950s, the once golden marriage between Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier was unraveling at an alarming rate. The combination of her deteriorating mental health, her numerous affairs, and the strain of their demanding careers had taken a heavy toll on their relationship. Olivier, who had long been a pillar of support for Vivien, found himself struggling to cope with the demands of his own career and the emotional turmoil of their relationship. He later described this period as one of the most stressful of his life, saying, "I could not help her, I could not reach her." Their arguments became more frequent and intense, often erupting in public or on set. Friends and colleagues noted the increasing tension between them, with many expressing concern for both Vivien's well-being and the future of their relationship. The home they once shared, a place of love and creativity, had become a battleground of conflicting emotions and unmet needs. By 1960, both Vivien and Olivier recognized that their marriage could not continue in its current state. The decision to divorce was heartbreaking for both, as they had shared many years of love, collaboration, and artistic triumph. However, they understood that separation was the only way to find some measure of peace and stability in their lives. The divorce was finalized in 1960, marking the end of one of Hollywood's most iconic couples. The public was shocked by the news, as the Oliviers had long been seen as the epitome of a successful show business marriage. Life after Olivier. Relationships and struggles. After her divorce from Laurence Olivier in 1960, Vivien Leigh faced a new chapter in her life marked by continued personal struggles and attempts to find stability. Her relationship with Jack Merivale, which had begun before her divorce, became a significant source of support during this challenging period. Merivale, unlike some of Vivien's previous partners, was fully aware of her mental health issues and was committed to supporting her through her struggles. He provided a calming presence in her life, often helping to manage her manic episodes and periods of depression. Their relationship, while not as publicly celebrated as her marriage to Olivier, offered her a measure of peace and companionship in her later years. Despite the support from Merivale, Vivien's mental health continued to be a significant issue. She experienced frequent mood swings, severe depression, and manic episodes. Her bipolar disorder, coupled with recurring bouts of tuberculosis, made daily life a constant battle. Nevertheless, she continued to work in both theater and film, demonstrating remarkable resilience. In 1963, Vivien starred in the Broadway production of Tovarich, a musical comedy that showcased her versatility as a performer. Her portrayal of Grand Duchess Tatiana Petrovna earned her a Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical, a testament to her enduring talent and ability to captivate audiences. This achievement was particularly significant as it came at a time when many had written her off due to her health issues and personal struggles. However, the demands of a Broadway run took their toll on Vivien's fragile health. The grueling schedule of 8 performances a week was physically and emotionally draining. Despite her triumph on stage, she was often exhausted and struggled to maintain her composure off-stage. Merivale's support during this period was crucial, as he helped her navigate the challenges of her Broadway success while managing her health issues. Vivien's film career also saw some successes during this period, though opportunities were less frequent than in her heyday. In 1965, she starred in Ship of Fools, directed by Stanley Kramer. The film, based on Catherine Ann Porter's novel, featured an ensemble cast and dealt with the complex interactions of passengers on a cruise ship in the 1930s. Her performance as Mary Treadwell, a divorced woman grappling with aging and loneliness, was particularly poignant and drew parallels to her own life experiences. Kramer praised Vivien's professionalism and dedication on set, noting her ability to channel her personal struggles into her performance. He remarked, "Vivien brought a depth of emotion to the role that was truly remarkable. Her understanding of Mary's isolation and vulnerability was palpable in every scene." In 1967, Vivien's health took a serious turn for the worse. She suffered a severe recurrence of tuberculosis, which left her bedridden for several months. During this time, tragically, on July 7, 1967, Vivien Leigh passed away at the age of 53. She was found by Merivale, who had been preparing to take her to a dinner party. Her death was attributed to tuberculosis, bringing a premature end to a life filled with both extraordinary achievements and profound personal struggles.